NEMA, which stands for National Electrical Manufacturers Association, and the NEC, which is the National Electrical Code, both have standards that apply to installing generators and transfer switches. There are various NEMA standards that are applicable. NEMA MG1-NEC 2016 covers motors and generators. NEMA WC7-NEC 2021 addresses weatherproof enclosures. The National Electrical Code also provides relevant articles. Article 445 covers generators. Article 702 pertains to essential electrical systems. Article 705 deals with interconnected electric power production sources. When installing a generator, there are key requirements to keep in mind. Firstly, you must comply with the manufacturer's instructions. Secondly, you should install the generator in a well-ventilated area. Thirdly, protect it from moisture and weather. Fourthly, provide adequate clearances for maintenance and access. Fifthly, securely mount the generator on a suitable base. Sixthly, connect it to the fuel source, such as natural gas or propane, according to applicable codes. Seventhly, install an exhaust system to safely vent carbon monoxide. When installing a transfer switch, there are also some key requirements. Firstly, you must comply with the manufacturer's instructions. Secondly, you should install it in a location that is accessible for operation and maintenance. Thirdly, provide clear labeling for the utility and generator power sources. Fourthly, connect it to the generator and utility power sources according to the relevant codes. Fifthly, ensure proper grounding and bonding. Additional considerations include choosing between an automatic or manual transfer switch. You need to decide whether to use an automatic transfer switch, also known as an ATS, or a manual transfer switch, also known as an MTS. It's important to determine the electrical load requirements to size the generator and transfer switch accordingly. You should also consider the fuel availability, cost, and environmental impact when selecting a generator. Make sure to obtain the necessary permits and ensure that inspections are performed to verify compliance with local codes. It is always recommended to consult with a qualified electrician for proper installation and to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and standards. For example, Article 445.11 of the National Electrical Code addresses overcurrent protection. Each generator must be protected from overcurrent. Except for generator drive motors, overcurrent protection must be provided in accordance with 445.11 and 445.11. The overcurrent protection must be consistent with the generator manufacturer's instructions. Article 445.12 addresses accessible location. Generators must be accessible for inspection, maintenance, and repair. Sufficient access and working space must be provided about the generator to provide safe and convenient access to live parts for servicing. Where conditions of maintenance and supervision assure that only qualified persons service the installation, the disconnecting means can be permitted to be accessible only to qualified persons. Article 445.13 addresses directing. For generators rated more than 100 kilowatts, the conductors from the generator output terminals to the first overcurrent device must have an ampacity not less than 115% of the generator nameplate current rating. Article 445.14 addresses marking requirements. Each generator must be provided with a nameplate giving the manufacturer's name, the rated frequency, power factor, rated output in kilowatts or kilovolt amps, the number of phases, and the rated voltage. Where equipped with a prime mover, the nameplate must include the type of fuel used. Article 445.15 addresses terminal housings. Generators must be equipped with terminal housings or other enclosures in accordance with 430.12. Article 445.16 addresses disconnecting means. Generators must have a disconnecting means in accordance with 445.16. Through 445.16. Article 445.17 addresses lockable disconnecting means. Where a generator, other than cord and plug connected, is installed for supplying essential electrical systems, a lockable disconnecting means must be installed in accordance with 702.11. Article 445.18 addresses conductor ampacity. The ampacity of the generator output conductors must be in accordance with 445.18 and 445.18. B. The ampacity of the phase conductors from the generator to the first overcurrent protective device must not be less than 115% of the generator nameplate current rating. The ampacity of the neutral conductors from the generator to the first overcurrent protective device must be sized to carry the maximum unbalanced load, and the neutral conductors must be run separately from the phase conductors. Article 445.19 addresses generator overload protection. Generators must be protected from overload in accordance with 445.19 and 445.19. B. Where a generator is provided with overload protection by the manufacturer, the generator must be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. Where a generator is not provided with overload protection by the manufacturer, the generator must be protected by an external overload protective device. Article 445.20 addresses additional generator requirements. Generators must comply with the additional requirements in 445.20 through 445.20. C. Where a generator is installed in a separate room or compartment, the room or compartment must be ventilated to prevent overheating of the generator. Where a generator is installed in a hazardous location, the generator must comply with the applicable requirements of Article 500 through Article 516. Where a generator is installed outdoors, the generator must be protected from the weather. Regarding Article 702.11, which addresses a lockable disconnecting means, a lockable disconnecting means must be installed for the generator output conductors. The disconnecting means must be lockable in the open position. A disconnecting means is not required where the generator disconnecting means is lockable in the open position and is located at the same location as the transfer equipment. Article 702.4 specifies the capacity and rating requirements. The alternate power source must be adequate to supply the full load transferred by one or more transfer equipment. The alternate power source capacity must be based on 702.4 or 702.4. B. Where the alternate source is separate from the normal source, the size must be determined by calculating the load or loads to be served. The alternate source may be smaller than the normal source. One must comply with 220.18. Article 702.5 addresses transfer equipment. Transfer equipment, including automatic transfer switches, must be identified for emergency use and must be designed and installed to prevent the inadvertent interconnection of normal and alternate sources of supply in any operation of the transfer equipment. Transfer equipment and electric power production systems must be designed so that automatic retransfer of loads from alternate source to normal source will not create an overload condition for the alternate source. Article 702.6 addresses signals. Audible and visual signal devices must be provided where practicable for the purpose described in 702.71, 702.72 and 702.73. Article 702.7 addresses the sources of power. Normal supply is indicated by a green light. Alternate supply is indicated by a red light. Condition of alternate source indicates the engine running. Article 702.8 addresses the battery. Provisions must be made for suitable maintenance of the battery supply. Article 702.9 addresses system operation. Transfer of power between normal and alternate power sources must comply with 702.9 and 702.9. B. Automatic transfer equipment must be automatic and identified for emergency service. Where the system is manually operated, an adequate number of qualified personnel must be available for the intended level of reliability. Article 702.10 addresses interconnected electric power production sources. If the alternate source of power is an interconnected electric power production source, it must be installed in accordance with Article 705. Article 702.11 addresses lockable disconnecting means. Where a generator is installed for supplying essential electrical systems, a lockable disconnecting means must be installed in accordance with 702.11. and 702.11. E. For essential electrical systems, a lockable disconnecting means must be installed for the generator output conductors. The disconnecting means must be lockable in the open position. A disconnecting means is not required where the generator disconnecting means is lockable in the open position and is located at the same location as the transfer equipment. Article 702.12 addresses rating. Generator sets installed as essential electrical systems must meet the listing requirements in 702.12 and 702.12. B. Generator sets must be listed to UL 2200. Generator sets must be rated for temperature rise in accordance with the equipment requirements in the applicable product standard. Article 705.12 covers output characteristics. The output of a generator or other electric power production source operating in parallel with a primary source must be compatible with the primary source. Article 705.14 covers equipment approval. All equipment must be listed for use in interconnected electric power production systems. Article 705.16 covers system isolation equipment. Means must be provided to isolate the electric power production system from all other electrical systems. The means must consist of a disconnecting means as described in 705.20 and must open all ungrounded conductors of the circuit. Article 705.20 covers disconnecting means. A disconnecting means must be provided for all ungrounded conductors of each electric power production source. The disconnecting means must be lockable open in accordance with 110.25. The disconnecting means must be suitable for the intended use and must be located at a readily accessible location. For 1 and 2 family dwellings, an outside disconnecting means is required and must be readily accessible. As for the NEMA standards, the NG 1-2016 standard addresses various aspects of motors and generators, providing guidelines for their design, manufacturing, and performance. The standard includes information on motor and generator ratings, testing procedures, and enclosure types. It also covers topics such as motor efficiency, insulation systems, and vibration limits. NEMA NG 1-2016 is intended to ensure that motors and generators meet certain performance and safety requirements. NEMA WC 7-2021 covers weatherproof enclosures. It specifies the requirements for enclosures that are intended to protect electrical equipment from weather conditions such as rain, snow, and ice. The standard includes information on enclosure construction, materials, and testing procedures. It also covers topics such as corrosion resistance, gasket performance, and drain hole placement. NEMA WC 7-2021 is intended to ensure that weatherproof enclosures provide adequate protection for electrical equipment. These NEMA and NEC standards provide guidance for the proper installation and operation of generators and transfer switches, helping to ensure safety and reliability. Remember to consult with a qualified electrician for proper installation and compliance with all applicable codes and standards.